It turns out that most of our communication has nothing to do with the words that we use. Today on the podcast, I have a communication expert, Robert Kennedy III, and he shares amazing takeaways about how we speak and communicate and connect with each other. You could probably hear the excitement in my voice. I absolutely loved this episode. If you find value in it, share it with a friend, and you guys can work on these skills together. I just want to say thank you so much for being here, and I really hope you find value in this episode. All right. Today on the podcast, we have Robert Kennedy III. So welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, Sarah? Hold on one second. There we go. All right. Just needed to
Oh,
make
the
sure.
confetti. You never
Just
had
needed to make sure we started
confetti.
out with some joy. Yes.
That is a great way to start. I mean, literally, the whole topic today is going to be about communication. And you just starting it that way just put me in a whole different mood.
Yes.
So you're clearly very good at your job. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay. Communication in this world is incredibly important, and there's so
Yeah,
many different elements that go into it. So
absolutely.
my audience is small business owners and entrepreneurs, so I want to keep that in mind. But I really just want to dive right into the meat of it and talk to me through the power of how we communicate, like what that does for us personally and what it does for our business.
I'll say it this way. It's all about connection. People, there's several different elements of communication. It's what I intend, it's what you receive, and then my perception of your reception. So I might say something, you might get it a certain way, and then I see how your face, your body language responds. So I interpret what you receive. And we can get that all wrong sometimes, right? So
Right? Like if I had
it's,
a rough morning with the kids and
yeah,
then you say something, I could not respond the best because
yes.
of the morning I just had. It has nothing to do with what you just said. That's
Yep.
funny.
Yep. Yep. So there's so many nuances and so especially in the business marketplace, I find it funny and I even bristle a little bit when people refer to communication as a soft skill. I'm like, no, it's not. It's absolutely the most essential skill that you should have. And why do we not spend time, intentional time working on it? Because it is wars have been started because of miscommunication. So
I think we could solve a lot of problems with
yes,
proper communication. Why
yes.
is that? Why is it so hard for people to understand all the different nuances? Like, does so much of it happen subconsciously?
Well, a lot of it happens subconsciously, but we have a lot of assumptions about it, right? And if I go back to the soft skill, hard skill distinction, we think about hard skills as something that you have to learn. Oh, I did not understand computers before I came in, so I have to learn a computer skill. Oh, I didn't understand AI, so I need to go get a certification or I need to sit down and learn how to do AI better. So therefore I'm growing. Oh, but I came into this conversation. You can talk, I can talk, we can both talk, so we can both communicate. No, that's not how that works. So we make assumptions based on the fact that we think we know how to speak a certain language, that we know how to communicate with each other. And there's so many layers. It's so much more nuanced than that.
Okay, let's just get into it. What are some of these layers that people need to understand going into a conversation, whether that be a
Yeah, well,
difficult conversation or a happy conversation? Like, what are the different layers there?
yeah, well, Albert Morabian wrote this book called Silent Messages a long time ago. And in that book, he intimated that there are three layers. There's the visual, there's the verbal, and there's the vocal. Right? So that visual layer is what everybody sees before you even say a word. It's your facial expression, it's how you're dressed, it's the energy that you come into a space with. You don't have to say a word, and people make judgments. People have perceptions of who you are, how you're going to operate, what you might say, whether you're going to be fun or not before you've addressed them in any way. And that's just the visual. Right. And so you've heard the statement, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Yes,
There's,
that's a good one.
yeah, there's something behind that because we all see people and we make snap judgments about them. We don't like to be told that we judge people or that we're judgy. but we are.
Well, it probably goes back to like evolution, right? Like there's
Yeah,
things that we needed to know like instantly in order
yep,
to make a decision.
absolutely.
So, those things don't just go away. We don't
Mm,
unlearn those because our
yep,
environments change. And
absolutely.
my husband is an eye doctor, so we know a lot about the visual system.
Mhm.
And recently I found out that most of our brain power is dedicated to our visual system because we're
Yeah,
such visual beings. And there's so much that happens subconsciously when you take a snap judgment of somebody.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so we form a lot of thoughts or opinions before people say a word or before we know them. So that's why it's of course important to ask questions and to go a few layers deep so that you can develop proper trust. Right? If I think about that from a business perspective, sometimes as business owners we say, "Hey, I sent an email." Or, "Hey, I sent an ad," or, "Hey, I did a post and nobody responded." Hold on one second. My music just came on automatically. Like I've got
Oh,
my
funny.
Apple
I can't
TV.
hear
Yeah.
it, but
You can't hear it. It's my jazz in the
you got a
office.
party going on back
Yeah,
there or
yes.
what?
Yes. Yes, we party all the time. Come on, you know how we do it. Here we go. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Let's
Yeah, I
party. All
I
right.
need to get one of those. Every time a guest does something great, I'm gonna hit the confetti button.
Yes, yes. So we see people, we see how they respond, and we form a lot of different opinions. And so it's important to go deeper. Just saying one thing, making one post is not how people will form trust of you. And so that's why we talk about it takes about 7 different touch points before somebody's going to make a decision because that's part of communication. They walk through several different layers. We've got the visual layer, we've got the vocal layer. And the vocal layer is simply the tone or the energy with which you speak. Somebody may not be hearing the words that you're saying. They may be around the corner or they may be down the hall and they hear your voice and they may just hear or they hear and they understand the energy of the room. They don't know what you're saying, but they know whether you're excited. They know whether you're upset. They know whether you are sad. They know whether you are bored. Simply by the vocal tone and the energy and even the pace, the speed at which they are hearing the communication happen.
So
And
are
so,
these things that we need to be like more conscious of that we're doing?
yes, absolutely.
Because how many
You
times like you just do it? You just you don't even think about it the way you approach a conversation.
and that's exactly why we think we're experts because we just do it, right? We so if we paid more attention to it, we could actually leverage it. So if I go into a room and I want that room to be excited, I speak faster. I raise my energy level. I turn my volume up, right? That changes the energy of the room naturally. But if I
Mhm.
want that room to be bored, if I want that room to fall asleep, I can also do that. I can walk in and I can be monotone and I can just talk like this really slowly. And how many times have you
You've
been to
got
a
such a great
presentation?
radio voice too. You have an unfair advantage there.
How many times have you been to a presentation or a meeting where a leader is in the front of the room and they're just talking about numbers and they're talking like this the whole time and you're like, crap, why am I
I
here?
die.
And
I my
yeah,
brain it
yeah,
shuts off immediately.
right, right. Right? So as a business owner, as a leader, the more intentional I am, the more aware I am of those even those 2 things. We haven't gotten to the words yet.
There's no content doesn't even matter, right?
Right. Well, it does, but it's got to line up. We haven't gotten
Right.
to the words yet. So people have judged. So Albert Morabian in that book talked about some numbers. He said influence, if we think about the visual, that's about 55% of what influences people. If we think about the vocal, that's about 38% of what influences people.
Wow.
So if I add up the numbers, 55 and 38, now we're at 93, which means I've got 7% left. And that's the words. That's the verbal. That's what I say.
I feel like everyone is so concerned with the 7%. Is
Yeah,
that where
they
most
are.
people think their focus needs to be?
Exactly. You are exactly correct. And so that is why we have people dumping a lot of information into presentations. That's why we have people talking, they ramble, they come on screen, they come on live streams and on videos and on podcasts, and they just say a bunch of stuff because they feel like, oh, if I, the more that I say, the smarter that I will look. The more
Mhm.
words I use, the more people will think I know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And in reality, people have made 93% judgment of who you are and how you're going to show up before you uttered a word.
Like, you're almost to the finish line at that point.
Yes, absolutely.
Gosh, that's such
Absolutely.
an interesting way to think about it because I do feel like those things are more like we don't really put I don't put that much thought into it. I'm like, this is my personality. I just show up like this all the time, as
Yeah.
opposed to really thinking about what energy do I want to bring in that room. And it's so true. Like you can point out when someone walks into a room and you're like, ooh, the energy changed.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, no, I was going to say, you said we don't think about it. And the truth is, some of us do this naturally well. And it's not about whether this person is a better natural communicator than another. It's about, okay, do I have an awareness of the elements of it so that I can leverage it and use it in a way that is beneficial, not just to me, but to everybody in that space? Can I create transformation? Can I create connection by being aware of the layers and the levels of communication?
Okay, I love that word awareness because
Mhm.
there's so much that we can learn with some awareness. In a situation like communication, how do people gain that awareness? Like, how do people understand how their tone is coming across, how their look is coming across? Like, how do you build that awareness?
Well, this is good. So it's we live in an age where that's so much easier now. If it was 1990, we would have to ask questions. I would have to sit down and say, Sarah, okay, listen, I'm going to talk for about 30 seconds and I want you to tell me what you see and what you're interpreting and what's coming across. What do you see on my face? I would have to have that conversation with you.
Hmm.
Or I would have to sit down with we didn't have cell phones at the time in 1990. We would have to sit down with one of those big video cameras and record ourselves and then evaluate it.
Hmm.
Now, in 2000, I'm not gonna say the year because you might want this to be evergreen, right?
I mean, we're going to be replaying this one. This isn't information that's going to go away. Like, this is important for years down the road.
Yeah. So nowadays, we have so much that is available to us. I used this great AI tool a couple of years ago that would come onto my Zoom meetings that I was having with clients or prospects, and it would evaluate how I showed up from a communication perspective. Right? It would tell me, hey, you used filler words this percentage of the time. You seemed bored this percentage of the time. You
Oh my
seem interested
God.
and excited this percentage of the time. Here are some suggestions that you can use to become even more engaged in conversation next time. Right? So we've
Wow.
got
And so you're seeing
AI
tangible
tools.
numbers.
Yes. Yes.
I had no idea that existed. Is it based off of your facial expressions, your tone?
Everything. All of it.
Wow.
All of it. I'll
Okay.
give you a couple of names. There's a tool that I use called Udly AI, YOODLI
I'm writing
AI.
this down. Yo,
Yeah.
okay.
And so that was the tool, that was the AI tool that judged your body language or evaluated or assessed the body language, your tone, your speech, the words were you using words that were super difficult? Could you have toned it down a little bit to make it more easily understandable for the audience that you were connected with? Right. So if you are intentional about saying, okay, listen, I don't want to be up here and my audience is down here. How do we create a space where I can connect with them so that the more that I connect with people, it's the easier it becomes to build trust.
Got it. And for business owners, that's so important because if you're
Hmm.
not connecting with your patients, your clients, your customers,
Yeah.
you're losing the whole point of your business.
Yep. Yep. I'll
And
give you a quick example or story. So I lived in Massachusetts and I'm sitting in my living room, just chilling out, watching TV. My doorbell rings and I go to the window. I look out the window. There's this guy in my driveway. He's got a big rectangular display board with these little squares on it. I'm like, okay, cool. I open the door. He says, "Hey, my name's Mark. I'm selling carpet and I've got these different carpet swatches here. Would you mind coming out and feeling them? I've got Berber, I've got low pile, I've got high pile, mid pile, Goma pile. I got all the piles." And he says, "Come on and touch these carpets." So I touch them, and we're standing there for about a minute and a half, and I'm touching these different swatches, these different squares, and I'm feeling. He's like, "Feel this one." I say, "Cool." I feel it. He's like, "Oh yeah, what do you think about that one?" And I feel the different pieces of carpet. We do this for about 2 minutes, and then I open my door and he sees inside my house and he recognizes I've got hardwood. So he says, "Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I see you got hardwood floors. All right. Well, then, I guess you don't need." And he packs up his stuff and he leaves. So I'm standing there like, dude, what, what was that?
How do you know if I'm not in the business for
what just,
carpet?
what just happened? So I share that story and I say, there was another way that he could have come at me. I lived in Massachusetts. My home was an older home at the time. And he could have come across the street and said, "Hey, my name's Mark. I was just at your neighbor Judy's house." Connection, right? He's telling me somebody that I know. I was just at Judy's house and I was talking with her about her heating bill because she's got oil. That's how our house is heated. And I couldn't help but notice that you have an oil tank as well. Connection. How do you feel about your heating bill? Now I'm
Pain
kinda like,
point.
"Oh my gosh, yes. I absolutely hate this because why are we paying so much? Why are we paying $600 a month for heat?"
Because those hardwood floors, man.
Right. So now he could say, "Oh, okay. So you're paying that much for heat. You've got oil heat. I see that you've got hardwood floors. What if there was a way that you could save a little bit of money per month without spending a whole lot up front? Would you be interested in hearing about that?" Mm,
That's an
okay.
easy yes.
Yes. Now I want to hear about that. He says, "Well, I'm selling carpet. That's really what I'm here for. But you've got hardwood. And I know that a lot of people love hardwood floors. They look great. But one of the things that I've noticed is that if you put an area rug in certain areas of the house, it'll insulate the floors and save you money on your heating. Care to look at a couple of swatches that might talk about that, right? So now he's created experiential connection from something. He talked about my neighbor. He's built trust because he talked about somebody that I knew. He pointed to something that was a pain point for me. And now we've got a conversation. So as business owners, where are the connection points? Where are the points where you can see what struggles, what challenges people are going through, and how can you speak to those instead of just pushing your product, your program, your process on them right from the beginning?
Man, can you imagine the different outcomes that would happen? Same
Mhm.
situation,
Yep.
some minor tweaks that are not hard to do, but
Yep.
it's that awareness piece of how you're presenting your product to people. Do you find this on social media as well? Like they say, you can post a video this way, it gets
Yep.
nothing. You post the same content this way, it goes viral.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in
So
this digital world, how do you find that people can bridge that gap there?
well, I will first caution people from attempting to go viral because so many of us are saying, "Oh my gosh, the only reason that I want to post on social media is I'm trying to go viral. I'm trying to go viral. I'm trying to go viral." Well, you can go viral and still not make money. You can go
Exactly.
viral and still not connect with your right audience, right? If I'm selling napkins and I go viral because I was driving my car really fast, that there's no connection.
Right there, then who cares? I
Right.
literally was just speaking about this. So I had a video I posted with my grandmother, and her and I were doing one of the dancing trends.
Mhm.
It went crazy viral on Instagram and TikTok. all these people started following me, but they're not small business owners, so it kind of doesn't matter.
Right.
And those people are not engaging in the content that I actually want them to.
Yeah.
It's like meaningless views. It was fun for the 30 minutes while it was happening, but there's no actual like ROI on things like that.
Well, let's leverage that for a second, though, because you have a bunch of people that are now following you and you're not clear on who they are yet. You don't even know them.
Nope.
So now, how do I leverage that? Well, one of the tenets of communication, one of the tenets of connection is questioning, curiosity. I start to ask people questions. I start to create calls to action. I start to give them a reason to respond to something. So if I've got a bunch of new followers, I start asking them questions. Hey, tell me about how you felt when this happened, or what's your favorite show that you've been binge watching lately. Drop that in the comments, or whatever it is that may be related to your interest or something that you can solve, a problem that you can solve. Start asking questions around that, dropping those in the comments is soliciting responses. And now, yeah, there may be some people that may not vibe with it. There may be some people that will not be connected to that, but I guarantee you that there will be some, right?
That's
So if you
very,
have a
very
100 new
valid.
followers, you ask some questions, you may get 20 of those 100 that say, oh yeah, I vibe with that. Oh yeah, that connects with me. Or I know somebody that connects with. That might be my mom. Hey mom, come follow this guy. Hey mom, come follow Sarah.
That's so true. It's that connection piece. And
Mhm.
you know, they talk a lot about, like, especially with content when you're, a small business owner, like, it's not about you. You have to make it about the other person and
Absolutely.
what their interests are. Can you talk to me how to like build some good connection with people?
Well, we just talked about it. The biggest way that you can do that, and I say that this is a cheat code, asking questions is a cheat code.
Hmm.
Because here's what happens. Our brains work a certain way. Our brains do not like open loops. Our brains look for patterns. Our brains look for what's next and how to close something and make sense of it. So when I ask a question, our brains immediately go into this process known as instinctive elaboration. That simply means that when I ask you a question, your brain can't help but answer it. I just hijacked your brain, right?
That's too funny.
You may not say it out loud, but if I ask a question, your brain immediately begins to process. Did I experience that? Do I want to experience that? Do I like that? Does that seem familiar to me? Do I recognize that? Because it's trying to close the loop. It's trying to make connections. And so as small business owners, the more curious that we are, the more questions
Mm.
that we can ask, the more answers that we can solicit from our audience. And the answers aren't like, "Hey, will you buy my product?" No, that's not the
Yes
question that
or
you
no?
No,
No.
that's not the question that you wanna ask. You wanna find out what they are experiencing. You wanna find out what hurts them. You wanna find out what makes them laugh, what challenges them. What do they enjoy? What are they up to? What is drawing their attention right now? What are they interested in? And the more that you can extract that information is the easier it becomes for you to create connection because now you've got a story. Now you can say, "Oh yeah, I remember a time that that happened to me as well.
Hmm.
Here's how I navigated it. Here's how I fixed it. Here's how I solved it. Would you like to learn a little bit more about how to solve that thing too?"
That's
So
so
now you've led
important.
them down a journey.
That reminds me of, I had a guest on the show that was talking about surprise and delight. He owns a
Mhm,
gym. And so he was talking about how he gets to know the people that are members at his gym so well that
mhm.
he can tell when they walk in the door if they're a little off. And then like one girl he surprised at the end of the class with like her favorite drink was waiting on
Yeah,
the counter on her way out. I was blown away. I was like, what a great idea to like have that level of connection with your customers. It probably provides a much more loyal customer base.
yeah, yeah. That is trust building at its finest. You've asked the question, and here's the thing about trust building. It's not like you walk up to people and you say, "Hey, will you trust me? Hey, will you trust me? Hey, will
It would
will you
immediately
will
be
you trust me,
no.
please?" No, right. You ask questions, you find out information, you learn, and then something shows up in the space. You create something. You buy the smoothie, you buy the favorite drink, and you put it up. And they say, "Wait a minute, this person heard me. This person was paying attention to me. This person completes me. This person,
They
this,
know me
they
so
know
well.
me. Yeah, right." And it came through conversation. We think about your best friends, right? You're best friends with somebody because it's easy to talk with them, and whether you know it or not, they've been asking questions, they've been sharing, they've been extracting experiences from you, and you've been doing the same to them over time. And so after a while, you're both like, "Oh, you like this, I like this too. Oh my gosh, you respond this way, I respond that way too." And so you begin to form this unknowing or maybe even knowing trust box that you both sit in, and you're both like, "Okay, that person's great, and you let's do life together. Let's hang out together."
Mhm.
And so
Yeah, and
businesses can do that as well.
yeah, and like you said earlier, that really struck me as, like, matching the energy,
Mhm.
of the other person. So can you talk to me a little bit about that piece of it? Like, so say somebody comes in a room, say you're my customer,
Yeah.
and I can tell that you're not having a great day.
Yeah.
What are things that I can do to help communicate where I'm not gonna annoy you or I'm not going to elevate, the bad feelings that you're having or the anger, the frustration that can happen sometimes in a client interaction?
Yeah. So there are so many ways to do that, and sensitivity really plays a part here. I could say just go ask them some questions, and that's one technique that you could use, but not everybody is in a space where they're ready to answer questions just yet. And so sometimes it may just be there. If this is the very first time that you're meeting this person and they show up and they're not happy or they're angry, yeah, you may ask a question, what can I do to be of service to you today? And so some of that is not just the question, it's the tone. If I come up to you and I'm super aggressive and I say, "Yeah, how can I help you?" And I come up to you. It's like, right. It's like when you go into a store and the salesperson comes over and they're like, "Hey, can I help you? Hey, can I help you?" And you're like cringe because because they seem desperate at the moment. It's not even the words that they're saying, it's the energy that they use.
Mhm.
So if I'm looking at helping someone, I may look back, okay, let me dial this back a little bit. Let me take my volume and my energy down just so that I can mirror where they are and
Mm.
say, "Hey, yeah, how can I be of service to you today?" And then I shut up, I let the silence sit, and I wait for them to speak. And that's another thing. Silence is key. Silence is so amazing, and we need to leverage silence even more. Sometimes we speak and somebody takes a long time to answer, or there's silence in the space, and so we look to jump in and fill the space. Pull
People don't
back.
like those silences. Yeah.
Silence is awesome. Silence is amazing. Use it.
Yeah, that's a
There we
great way
go.
to look at that. It's hard to do. It's a
Mhm.
probably it take one of those things that takes practice, and it's more about feeling comfortable in yourself
Yeah.
and a confidence factor that would play a role in that.
Well, the word confidence, I define confidence this way: repetition with the expectation of success. It's not a switch that you flip on and off. It's something that you do repeatedly. It's something that you do over and over. As a matter of fact, silence, our fear of silence is one of the reasons why we use filler words. The reason we say like, so, we do all of that to fill in some of those gaps because our brains and our mouths are going at two different speeds. And so there are moments where our brain is here and our mouth hasn't translated yet. And so we're trying to catch up and we say to fill the space. One of the best ways to get rid of filler words is to recognize that that is happening and then just allow it to pause. Just stop and then start your words again.
And then start
Yeah.
I was joking, one of the quickest ways to learn what filler words you use is go on a podcast, and then when I edit my episodes, there was words I kept using, like, "I
Yep.
love that." Like, and it did provide a lot of awareness for
Yeah.
those words that I tend to just have as my go-to, and it takes the awareness piece and then it takes the action piece of trying to unlearn those behaviors.
Yeah, and it's committing to the silence. It's committing to being willing to feel awkward for a moment because after a while, that silence doesn't become awkward. It becomes a breath. It becomes that moment where you're inhaling because if you think about talking, you don't talk continuously without breathing. At some point, you've got to stop and inhale so that you can continue. And so if you think about the silence as that moment where you inhale, then it's easier for you to recognize silence as something positive and something acceptable and something necessary for life.
Probably gives you more time to process what you really want to say and what you really
Absolutely.
mean. hmm
Absolutely.
So, what are some other mistakes that you see people commonly do with their communication style? Are there some major ones that seem to be things that you recognize quickly or frequently that a lot of people experience?
I grew up in New York and there was this sport that it seemed like the girls played more than the guys. It was double dutch. Right? The double dutch is the jump
Yeah.
rope thing. And what I used to notice was the when there were two people on the ends turning the ropes, there was somebody that was at one side and they kind of did this movement like this. They're getting ready to jump in. There, right? They're getting ready to jump in.
I can tell
And
you've done this before.
yeah, and a lot of us do that with communication. Somebody's talking, and instead of us just sitting and hanging on the side and waiting for the silence, our brains are processing what we need to say next instead of fully listening and being present. And so I you can tell when it's happening for people because somebody's speaking, the words haven't even finished yet, and they're already jumping over to say what they've got to say because they weren't fully listening. They're about 50% there. They were 50% listening, 50% processing. Okay, what do I need to say next? What do I need to say next? What do I need to say next? And they're doing that. And so, the, and it's not a totally bad thing because if you're ever around your family, my family is this way. When we get together at Thanksgiving, the people who come are like, whoa, what's happening here? Because somebody's talking and there's like five different conversations happening at the same time. And you're kind of jumping. It's loud and it's laughter and it's crazy. And there's energy in that. There's good. But when
hmm
you're one-on-one with people, one of the common communication mistakes I see, especially in relationships, oh my gosh, is you're not fully listening. You're ready to jump in. How can we pause and listen fully and be willing to let the words dangle for a moment before you jump in with your opinion or your thought?
That's so good. That's probably where all the gold is, right?
I hope
Working with
so.
people, like if you just listen to what they're trying to say,
Yeah,
forget your pitch you've worked on. If you focus on that and people feel seen and they feel heard, they're not going to forget that.
absolutely. Absolutely.
That's very cool. I'm going to have to sit in that for a minute. So, you mentioned earlier that in order to create awareness, you've used some AI tools.
Mhm.
What are other technologies that people can use to have better communication, more effective communication, or build that awareness piece?
Well, there are AI tools. There are also a lot of apps that you can use to help assess and evaluate where you are. There's this tool called Orai, ORAI app, I believe is the website. Orai is a public speaking coaching tool that allows you to practice. There are so many different tools where you can use role plays and scenarios, and some of those are AI tools as well. But the easiest one that I would say is just grabbing your phone, setting it up, and recording yourself and evaluating yourself because we all have ideas or we all have things that we can see in ourselves. I've done this because I speak, I evaluate my speeches. I evaluate what I said on stage. And I'm looking for several things. I'm looking for the continuity of the story. Was it easy to understand? I'm looking for the energy with which I said it because sometimes I'm on stage and I think I'm energetic. And when I'm looking at it, I'm like, whoa, I wasn't as energetic as I thought. I had this friend, sidebar, I had this friend who thought he was a great dancer. He thought he was a super dancer. And then one day he was at a club and he happened to be dancing by the mirror and he looked at himself dancing in the mirror. He's like, wait a minute, I'm not doing nothing. I'm so, and s- and so
A lot of people can relate to that one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we think about ourselves, we have this perception of ourselves in our brains. And when we see the full reflection of it, i.e., recording ourselves and watching on video, it creates the opportunity for us to say, you know what? Okay, yep, I can turn up the volume right there. I can increase the energy right there. I can slow down right there. There are times where I'm talking and because I'm energetic on stage, there are moments where I can go and I'm talking, I'm talking, I'm talking, I'm talking, I'm talking, I'm talking. And I'm
People are
like,
like, I'm trying
whoa,
to keep up.
I'm trying to keep up. So I see moments where I'm like, okay, yep, I could have stopped. I could have slowed down and just let the silence sit right there. So the easiest technology, the most accessible technology for you to get better is record yourself. Even if you're not in front of an audience, just sit and record and then watch it back. 30 seconds, 60 seconds, do it, grow.
Right. How many times do people realize, like, oh, I didn't know my face looked like that when I was listening to someone?
Hmm.
I've noticed with the podcast, if I'm intently listening to someone, sometimes I have like the most blank stare on
Yeah.
my face. And you don't realize that. And I
Yep.
used to work in reality TV. And this conversation reminds me of a producer I worked with where he would constantly be like, we need more energy. We need more energy because people like the camera takes away some of the energy sometimes.
Absolutely.
And you think you're giving, energy. And it's like, no, 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 you need to go like 25% higher than that in
Exaggerate
order
it.
for, yeah, exaggerate it. Exactly. For it to come across that way.
Yep. Absolutely. There are a lot of people that they don't want to do that. When I suggest it to people, they say, "Oh, I don't like the way I look on camera. I don't like the way my face looks." I'm like, dude, you know that's the face we see all the time, right?
We have to look at that. We have to
Yeah.
listen to that. All how many times like I don't like hearing my voice on camera because the way we hear it in our brains is different than the
Yeah.
way that we're going to hear it when it's coming across a different, modality.
Yeah.
But you get used to it over time and
You
it is
do.
what it is. Um
Exactly.
is I wonder if there's things like you have a nice deeper rich voice,
In the
as a
morning. No, I'm playing.
I wonder if there's things like you look a certain way or sound a certain way. Maybe you play that up or maybe you dial that back. I wonder there's got to be a lot of psychology behind that.
I'm sure there is. I'm not the expert in that. I do know that there's an authority that is carried when your voice is a little bit deeper. Um, and this is harder for, I would say, some women, especially, and this may be a patriarchal thing, I don't know. But in especially in workspaces, if somebody is higher pitched, they tend to the authority, the perception of authority is lessened. And so they'll tell you to speak a little bit slower with more depth and people will pay attention more. There's this great book by Carolyn Goiter called Gravitas. And
Mm,
in that book, she talks about the depth, she talks about the timing of which you speak. If you want to be perceived as a leader with authority, if you want to be perceived as a leader with influence and impact, one of the things she says is never be the first person to speak. Wait until other people speak and then you share your idea last and you share it very deliberately and intentionally and slowly and with depth. And that creates a different atmosphere. It creates a different reception of that idea in the room. So yeah, there are a lot of different elements of communication and speech and connection that if we're aware of them, we can leverage them. And some people would say, oh, that's manipulation. You can say that, but that's who we are as humans. We don't necessarily manipulate. Manipulation is if I intend to sway something for a selfish reason or a selfish purpose. But if I create an atmosphere where there's mutual benefit for all of us, then that's not manipulation,
It's
right?
just
We're
effective communication.
correct. Correct. Thank you
Hmm.
for finishing that sentence for me. I was struggling.
I read your face and I was like, I'm in. I'll jump in and help
Yes.
because I'm intently listening.
Yes.
Okay, one question. So before we started this podcast, we had different time zones, and
Mhm.
that's my fault. I typically reach out to my guest the night before. I'm so excited to talk to you. Let me
Yeah.
know if you have questions beforehand. Speak to you at 9:30, which was my time. So that was what was in my calendar. So if I say I make that mistake, what is the best way for me to apologize to you for that? And let you know that I'm like, I know I made that mistake. I'm so sorry about that. And I appreciate your time. Like, what's a great way for people? Because mistakes happen all the time. So how can people properly communicate that without losing, that trust factor?
Yeah. I I would rather you be grateful than sorry. Let that sit on purpose for a second. Here's what that looks like. We're in different time zones. You acknowledge it first of all. You say, "Oh my gosh, Robert, I just recognized that we're in different time zones. I'm in Central and you're in Eastern. We totally messed up how that happened. Thank you for being patient with me. I'll see you at 9:30."
Man, you're good at this.
I mean, that's a totally different thing than, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." You get tired of somebody who's sorry all the time. And not that I would have been mad at you if you said, "I'm so sorry," but it elevates your perception. It elevates where we meet each other if you're grateful and you say, "Thank you for." You've recognized inside of that statement, you've recognized my effort. You've recognized
Mm.
my inconvenience. You've recognized what I did in that situation, and you recognize you're saying, "I'm grateful for what you have done." If I say sorry, that's all about me.
And like asking for forgiveness. That's almost
Correct.
like, I
You're
need
asking
your
for
gift
more
of
from me now.
forgiveness.
Right. I wronged you, and now I'm asking you to give me more.
Yes. Where like the gratitude piece, that makes sense. Now I'm giving you an accolade of like, you're a great person. I'm so grateful that you still continued to get on the call and do the podcast today.
Yeah, it's like that person. You're having a meeting and the leader of the meeting is 10 minutes late. You're all there. You're waiting. You're waiting on that person, and that person's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I'm late." Now they want you to be sorry for them. Now they want you to say, "Oh my gosh, let me rub your
It's
shoulders.
okay. Like, take a
It's
breath,
okay."
Yeah.
No, you come in "Hey everybody, I'm late. Thank you so much for waiting and being patient. I
And that really
appreciate
sets
you."
the tone. That is such a
Yes.
different tone for that room right
Yes.
off the bat. And the same
It does.
situation happened,
Mhm.
but a very different outcome based on what you said and how you handled it.
Yep.
I love that. Go from a place of gratitude. And I feel like gratitude is something that we can all use, more and more in our lives.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right, Robert, we are running out of time, but one thing I love to leave my listeners with is what is the one thing that you would tell people if there's one easy thing they can implement in their life today to improve their lives or their business? What is one thing, one step people can take?
Ask more questions. That's the easiest curiosity. Connect with people, get to know people, learn about them. Ask more questions and then listen.
Very beautifully said. If people want to learn more about you and learn from you, where where should they go? And I'll put these in the show notes as well, but where should they find you?
Easiest place to go is robertkennedy3.me, and all of my socials are there and everything that I'm doing is there. But our community is also at amplifiedvoicehq.com.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate you. I'm very grateful for you coming on today. You brought such a great energy. You set the tone and the vibe right away. So you're very good at what you do. There's a lot that people can can learn from for you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here, Sarah.
Do we get confetti at the end?
You want confetti?
We
Hold
need
on one
confetti
second.
at the
We
end.
need confetti. There we go. There we go. Yes, free confetti.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Robert.
Thanks for listening to Nothing Small About Business. Make sure you follow the show so you don't miss the value in upcoming episodes. Share this with someone who's growing and connect on socials for more.